My photo library. Do you know that I actually have a gallery? It's called ASBW.art. It's a picture gallery where I take my favorite photographs. And on a typical trip, I will shoot, not like this, I'm talking about a big trip, 2, 3, 4, 5 week trip. I'll shoot 250, 450, 850, I don't know, pictures, a lot of still photographs. My specialty is landscape, cityscape, and there is some wildlife. There is some wildlife stuff too. I don't consider myself a great wildlife photographer. I don't even consider myself a good one, because when you get to, there's a guy called Fitzpatrick, I think his name is. There are many, but he's one of these guys that goes out with the specific idea of shooting pictures for his gallery. That's what he does. I mean, I go out to create content and tell stories and do what I do, and you watch them. That's my business model, and continuing to do it very happily. Fitzpatrick and people like him that do wildlife photography, they sell their photographs. That's what they do. And their photographs are magnificent. I mean, honestly, they're astonishing. They're wildlife pictures. And to shoot wildlife pictures like that, you have to be extremely patient. You also have to have contacts, because it's very difficult to shoot pictures like that without currying favor with the park owners. So you can be left alone in a place to shoot pictures where ordinary tourists can't go, because tourists change things. So I don't have that luxury. I've never tried that. So some of my wildlife pictures are nice, but I don't consider any of them great. Some of you have bought the one that I shot last year of a giraffe and the sunset crossing the road. And there's a nice story about that. And quite a few people have bought that. But I sell prints. They're actually printed in the US. They are art prints. So they are suitable for hanging. They've got permanent inks, etc. And if you're in the US, you can order them framed. If you're out of the US, you order them and then you have them framed yourself. You can have even metal prints. Metal, the process, the imagery, it's like a OLED television. I recently bought my first OLED television because our old one decided to curl up its pixels. And so we bought an OLED. And I like the Sony Bravia color science. I just like the look. I find Samsung a little bit synthetic. Some of the cheaper brand I find very synthetic. I don't like the color look of All Sense, I think they call it. The color look. And this is a OLED. And the color science is actually astonishing. The richness, the black, the metal prints. You get that same contrast in metal prints. Earlier this year, I took out all my old slides and negatives and went through them. Now, I didn't keep all of my slides. I had boxes and boxes and boxes of them, but I kept the ones that I kind of now wish that I'd kept more of them, but I kept the ones that I really, really liked. My shoot in 91 at Delta Camp, I kept all those photographs. My shoot in 1985 of New York City and 1986 in New York City, I kept those. And I put together a gallery called Film, 35mm film shots. At the time I had a Leica camera. I had a Leica M6 with a 90mm and a 35mm. I think both lenses were f2 or something close to that. And I think my absolute favorite shots of my life were in New York City. I went out before sunrise. I went there to edit some films at Technicolor Labs. I used their editing rooms and I edited some films. So I would have been 25 at the time. So I was a pretty young lad. and I would walk around the city, but I was worried about being mugged, because I know somebody was mugged. It was actually a director that I used to edit for. He was mugged in New York City, and he was about 6'5", this guy. So I thought what I would do is not comb my hair. Not that you'd notice any difference. And I had a fishing bag that I had when I was very, very young. It's a canvas fishing bag. I've still got it. I haven't used it in decades, but I've still got it. And I put my Leica in there and hang it around and then just take it out surreptitiously, get my shot, put it back in the bag. And I got some shots the early morning, and it was one late afternoon, evening as well, of Times Square. And I love those images. I absolutely adore those images. And the quality of film is different from digital. It's dirty and it has a character about it. I love it. So that's one gallery. So I shot some lovely shots in 24, was one of my best still image when I was with Jeremy. And the reason why it was good is because Jeremy, crazy about still photography, and he would motivate both of us to seek out still pictures. Whereas if I'm just traveling, I'm generally motivated by the story of the trip. And he was motivated by still images. That's why he came all the way to Africa from America. And so the pictures were wonderful. And there are two of my favorites that were shot in the same week. There's Olympus, I think it's called, or Grants Plus. It's a disused railway station on the road between Luderitz, which is on the coast, and the main road. And the main road kind of runs up the middle of Namibia, and then there's this road through moon landscape, through the forbidden area, the Speergebied diamond area, where there are said to be, still to this day, diamonds literally lying on the sand. And is incredibly heavily protected, as you can imagine, because if it was left to the people, the price of diamonds would basically go through the floor, and they wouldn't be worth much more than a piece of quartz. So anyway, I digress. And on the way there's a place called Kolmanskop, which is a ghost town. I shot some pictures in Kolmanskop. It was difficult. Kolmanskop is so over-photographed. It was difficult to do something fresh and interesting. But I did do something fresh and interesting at Grants Plus. There was this white building background, and you can see in the image here that there's movement in the grass. And I shot it at various shutter speeds because I wanted to make sure that the wind moving the grass was part of the image. It gives it life. I really like these images. A week or so later, we were at a place called Giants Playground. It was near Keetmanshoop. And there's the Quiver Tree Forest. Now, the Quiver Tree Forest has been photographed, like Kolmanskop, 1 million times by 1 million tourists. Okay? And I thought, what could I do different? And I got the general stuff that was nice. But then I got one shot that I love. I love this shot. And I literally sat on the ground for 30 minutes and waited for the sun to go down and just hit the shutter. Every time I thought, that's a bit different, hit the shutter. And as a still photographer, I have the hankering after, in a way, this amazing equipment. We call them hybrid cameras. That is a still camera that I'm using right now to film this. And we use them because they film video so much better than a video camera. Now, here's the thing. Video cameras are designed for video. You would think that they would shoot video better than still cameras. The expensive ones, the very expensive ones, dedicated to video and costing $15,000+ a shot. Yes, they do. They have a thing called a global shutter. They have higher bit rates. They have all of these things. But the less expensive video cameras, costing $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, don't shoot videos nearly as well as these still cameras. because they have a much smaller sensor and their bit rates are not particularly high, and while they're far more versatile, they've got longer zoom lenses, they've got better audio, and so they're better at shooting dedicated video. They're hopeless for they don't shoot stills, or if they do, their stills are very poor. Where these cameras shoot beautiful video and beautiful stills, but not top of the range video, not right on the edge, but still very, very beautiful video. So I use these for beautiful video and beautiful stills. And because they are now hybrid cameras, they've got both the attributes of a video camera and a still camera. They're not really good at any one of those two things. They're a little better at stills than they are at video, because they really are shooting, beautiful still pictures. So they are still cameras adapted, and very well adapted, for video. So there is a camera out there that I really want to get it, but it's going to cost me, with one lens, it's going to cost me 20,000 Australian. And that's kind of money that I think, well, I've got these perfectly good still cameras, why would I want another even better still camera? And the reason is simple. It's a dedicated still camera that I mentioned. It's called a Hasselblad XD2. They've just brought out the second version of it. It has 100 megapixel. So each image in raw form is about 240 megapixels in size. And that is more than double my best still camera, which is the Sony A7R5, which is a beautiful camera. But the trouble is, my cameras, I used to have Leicas. Leica is the still photographer's camera. It is so beautiful to use. There's something about it, and it's not just about the pictures. Photography is not just about the pictures. It's also about the dream of imagery, the thought that goes behind it, the mental machinations that go behind an image, and then the equipment that you use is very artistic. It's where these cameras, as good as they are clinical.
This is my main camera.
They're very, very efficient machines. And as an artist, you want more than a very, very efficient machine. You want something that helps you express yourself. And that might sound like an absolute corny, cheesy cliche, but it's actually true. And if I read these articles on the XD2 Hasselblad camera, and every single one of them, they all talk about the sharp images, and they talk about lovely color science, and they talk about the machinery delivery things that are important. Of course, they do talk about that. But what almost every single review talks about how the camera feels, how nice it is to use, how it's nice to, it's a wonderful thing to hold. I used to feel the same thing about my Leicas. It was just, sometimes you would just pick it up. Sometimes you would just pick it up and just kind of roll it around in your hands. I never do that with my Sonys. So I yearn for it, because I'm yearning for that piece of still photography that I loved. Now, I look around me here and I think, are there any pictures that I would like to take as still? Yeah, maybe. I promise you, if I had an XD2, I'd be out shooting pictures. It's like a beautiful, I'm not an artist, but if I was, I'm sure I would have my favorite paintbrushes, or my favorite tablet for mixing colors, or my favorite easel. I would. I long for that back, and I can't get it with the Sonys. And as much as I try, I can't get it with the Sonys. And as wonderful as these Sonys are, they're appliances.